Hello everybody, this is Rita Holmes, independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. I'm here to bring you a video today. It's actually not my own. I saw it on Frenchy Stamps, France Martin. You may know who she is. And she did it a while back on reflection, stamping a reflection card. And I had forgotten all about that technique. I did it years and years ago, and I thought, oh, I like that stamp set she used with it, so I kind of took her idea and ran with it, and I want to redo it and re-show it in case somebody hasn't seen it that would like to do this technique, because it's really a fun technique and it's also easy at the same time, which is good. I'm looking over at my computer because I'm going to make sure that I stay in focus when I bring the camera down. I do want to tell you about a couple things that's going on. Of course, you know that it's almost the end of celebration. We have about a week left of that. And then we're going to be moving on to March, which is going to bring out our online exclusives. And we got a sneak peek of that. We got a stamp set that we could use. I'll show you the cards that I've made with that so far. And really a nice collection. And they also, we saw embossing folders that are coming out. There's a set of 3, and that's how you order them, as a set of 3. But they're really nice. They have some new paper they brought out. It's gilded paper. And there was one more thing, and I can't think of what it is. I'll have to look and see on my paper. But anyway, they have that. And then the online exclusives will be online in StampinUp.com or on demonstrator websites like my online store, which is ritaholmes.stampinup.net. You'll be able to see them there and order them. And that'll be a really nice new thing. They don't have an expiration date on them like a catalog does, and so it either will be till they run out or until they decide not to have them anymore. Also, the clearance rack has been updated, has lots of stamps, dies, a lot of stuff on there, a lot of good stuff on there that was updated as of today. You can go there and again, go to the online store and click on clearance rack, and you'll be able to see all that stuff and get it at a discount, which is really nice. And another thing is my class to go. I got a class to go ready. I'll show you those cards when I go down. So I have a lot of different things going on. Of course, you know, it's getting towards the end of the month and going to start a new month, and I think March, I think spring, and you know, it just makes me happy to be able to think of that, and hopefully get some of the cold weather behind us. Although here in Ohio, we have had a very, very mild February, as the way Februarys go. In fact, Thursday it's supposed to be like 72 and mostly sunny, and just really, really nice. But then it's going to go back into the 40s and that. But at least we haven't had snow and all of that stuff to deal with, which is very unusual. But I'll take it, because I would rather have the warmer weather. So I am going to turn my camera down. So if you get dizzy, just close your eyes for a second, and we will turn this down to where you will be able to see the card. And let's get all this in focus. There we go. And here is my online store. There is my February host code that can be used. This is the card that we are going to be making, and it is a slimline card that will fit in a regular business envelope. So you can just use one of those and put that in there, and it'll work really, really well. Excuse me, I have to yawn. I don't mean to. So let me show you a couple things. First of all is that online exclusive, the one stamp set that I really, that's in there that I love, is the Irresistible Blooms, and it has these dies that go with it. And then it has a group of papers, and the papers are beautiful. They go with so much, and I'll just kind of flip through this and let you see kind of like what that looks like. Has a lot of a lot of details in them. And the dies fit like the flowers that you just saw. And then there's right here these leaves, and you can see where I punched leaves out and stuff to make my cards. I used a lot of the DSP on the cards that I made. So here they are. Here's a thank you card. And I used the die, and this is a wreath. And I used the leaf dies here. And then this leaf is the papers, and that's the stamp. That is one of the sentiments that's in there. And then I just stamped the inside. There's this one that is just DSP. This is DSP that I cut out, the leaves. This is a saying, and I used the He's All That die set to get this oval. And some petal pink ribbon that we have, and this is the little dots that they have. They are not adhesive back, so you have to use glue. And that one I did not put anything on the inside. And then we have this one. I did this out of the shimmer gold paper. Here's some of the DSP. I stamped a flower. Here's one of the sayings. And I did the stylish, I think the stylish shapes, and got this. Actually, no, I didn't. I cut that myself. I was going to use them and I didn't, so that is a little bit different. I used gold to cut out some leaves, and that's the leaves out of the paper. And I just did the dots on the inside. So this is one of the online exclusives, and I think if you get the whole kit, you get the little dots, you get the bundle here, you get the paper, and it's like $74, or you can order the stuff individually, but it will be an online exclusive. You can go online at, if you have a demonstrator, go onto their online store. If you don't, you can, very happy for you to go to mine, which is ritaholmes.stampinup.net, and see all of that stuff. So the last thing I have to show you is my online. Well, before I do that, I'm going to show you this paper. This is the online exclusive. So you get the stamp set, the dots, and this for $74.50, or then you can order them separately. You can get an alphabet letter set. These are 3 embossing folders that come together, and then the gilded papers. So, which is nice. Those will be available on March 1st. And here are some samples that they had made with that. Very, very, very cute set. I really like it. If you like flowers, you'll really like it. And here is my class to go, which is done with the brush bouquet. And let me show you that set, which is this one right here. The flowers, it does not have any sentiments with it, so I used a couple other sets for sentiments. This is the die set, and it has 6 flowers that you can cut out that just are embossed. And then it has the ones that you can stamp and cut out. They also have a leaf that is embossed, and I'll show you. I got one card that's used with nothing but those things. And I used a couple of, I used the Something Fancy and the Artistically Inked for some sentiments. And then on my card, you'll notice I used the split dies. I used this one right here. And then on the Blossoming Happiness, I used this right here. In the Stylish Shaped, I used the large circle. And then the Fancy Floral Paper, which is this right here, as I used as my DSP on the cards. And it's got a lot of neat paper in it too. So, and this is in the mini catalog. And so is the brush bouquet. So that is my class to go, and what that means, you can order this class. If you live near me, you can do it as porch pickup, or I mail it. But everything in the, let me show you the cards first. Here's the one I was talking about. These were all cut out of white cardstock and just colored with my blending brushes. So this is one of the cards. Here's one. And if you notice, they all have the brushed brass butterflies and the iridescent pearls on it. That's another one. Here's a fun fold. And then there's this one. So you make two cards of each of the 4 designs. So that's 8 cards. The supplies you get in the card packet itself is enough, excuse me, cardstock for all the cards plus the envelopes. You'll get a half a pack of the fancy Flora paper, so 6 by 6 inch. You'll get 2 of each of the 12 designs. You'll get any die cuts or punched items for your cards that don't require to be stamped first, because I can't do stamping for you. That is a rule from Stampin' Up. You'll get enough embellishments for your cards, which will be the brushed brass butterflies and the iridescent pearls. And you'll get more than enough regular and mini size dimensionals for these cards. In option 1, you get all that above, plus you can add the brush bouquet bundle for $45.75, and the PDFs, and that is $79 for porch pickup or $88 to mail it. Option 2 is just the card kit only with the PDFs, so that means you get everything that I mentioned above plus the PDFs, and it's $33 porch pickup or $42 to mail. Or you can get the PDFs only for $10. You can message me at you can actually email me at ritaholmes0611@gmail.com, or you can put a message on here, or you can go to my Facebook page and you can message me there, because I do make a PDF of all of my cards that I made. So for this card, I do have a PDF made that tells you what I used and how I did it. All the PDFs are on my Facebook page, Stamp Crazy VIP. So you just go to Facebook, in the search, put Stamp Crazy VIP, and you should be able to find it right there, and go to the group, and you can join the group. And under the file section, I have PDFs for all my videos. So you can go and see all of that if you want to. And now we are going to do my card. So here we go. I'm going to move my card over here. What we're going to use, this is a piece of cardstock cut 8 by 9 1/4, and it's scored at 4 inches to make our card. So this is our long card, which is now 4 by 9 1/4, and that will fit in a business envelope. And I mailed one today, so I know in fact that it does. And then we have our mat, which is, I use basic black, which is 9 by 3 3/4, which will go right here. And then the piece we're going to stamp is 3 1/2 by 8 3/4, which will go here. And I cut a piece the same size that will go here. My camera's a little too close. I'm trying to move that up just a little bit for you. Hope it stays there. It's not real tight. Okay, now we can see our papers. So that is what we will be doing for our cards, and I will be stamping on these two. So we're going to lay these to the side. I'll just lay them in under my card right here for the time being. And I hope, yeah, that'll be good. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, we are going to be using the Campology Stamp Set that's in the annual catalog. I've used it several times before. It's a good stamp set for masculine cards. I will be using the sentiment Happy Birthday out of the Peaceful Moments, just because I like that happy birthday. You can use any sentiment that you like on there. We're going to be using a piece of the masking paper. I already have it cut out, and I'll tell you what I did when I get ready to use that in a minute. And then we're going to use the matte black dots as our embellishment, which you'll see right down here under my happy birthday. And then I'll tell you the colors and all that stuff as we go. But first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Campology stamp, the trees. I am going to ink those up with Mossy Meadow. So let's just ink that good. I want to make sure I get a really good image, so I'm making sure I get it all inked really good. If I see something doesn't look inked to me, I'm inking over it. I think we're good. So I'm going to come down about halfway on the card. I'm not going to measure, I'm just going to eyeball that. And I'm going to stamp my trees. So I'm going to put that down. I want a good image. It's a big stamp, but I didn't want to use the Stamparatus because I'm going to be using this stamp again. So it's just easier to put it on a block. So I'm just going to rub my fingers. I a lot of times take what I call my Joni tool, and if I'm holding my stamp really good, I can just rub this over my stamp and lift it up, and there we go. We have a good image. I'm going to set that to the side. We're going to be using that just a little bit later. So here's what I said for, I'm going to bring this piece of scrap paper in. We're going to need a piece of scrap. I'll close this one up for a minute. We're not going to be using it, and I don't want to stick anything into the wrong ink. So what I did is I took a piece of masking paper and I cut it. It's about a 3 by 2 and 2.5, I think, piece. And I took the layering circle dies, which are right here, and I used the smallest circle, and I cut a circle out of the center, which I have right here, and we're going to be using both of these. So here's my circle that came out of there. So we'll be using that in a minute. But right now, this is still real tacky. I'm laying it right on my pant leg. And I'm going to pull it up to get some of the tackiness off. It was really tacky when I did this morning. I'm going to lay this about right here. And I just want to mainly push that down right around that circle. I'm going to use my blending brush, and I'm going to use So Saffron ink. And sure I am, as soon as I get it open. And I'm just going to rub this into that, kind of get off the blotchy spot. That's what I call them, blotchy spots. And I'm going to just make this a little darker. And I'm just going to rub it until I kind of clean my brush out. I get all my ink out. There we go. So we don't need this anymore. So I'm just going to pull this up. And pull it up slow because it will tear your cardstock if you're not careful. You can also tear this. And I tell you what I'm going to do with it, because it's still tacky. I'm going to open up my case and I'm going to lay it in here, and that way I have it to use it again. So I can just put it in there. I'm going to bring out my little dot, my little circle, and put it right here over my sun. Oh, it's not going to want to stick, is it? I'll have to be careful with it. I don't think the other one will stick any better. I don't know. Let's try it. I had two, because I had this one from previous times, but I tore the other piece of paper. Well, that one looks like it might fit better. We'll use that one. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to take out Balmy Blue. And I'm going to turn this sideways because that's how I like to use it. I'm going to get out my blending brush. And in my directions, I say you can use a blending brush and or a sponge. And mine's going to be a blending brush and a sponge. I'm going to use both of them. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of hold this down so I can go around it because it's not sticking real well. And if I think I'm going to be getting close to that edge, I want to put my brush on top of the edge to hold it down. And then I'm going to, actually I want to come down here, and I'm going to come down to about maybe a 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch up from my tree line for my blue. And you can make your sky as dark as you want or as light as you want. And I told you that I said and I said I was going to use my sponge. What I want to do with my sponge is I want to take it and I'm going to get some ink on it, and I'm going to brush sideways. And just because the sponge is porous, it'll bring in some lines across there. Kind of gives it a 3D look. It doesn't make it quite as smooth as the blending brush, but when you use the blending brush, you can get further coverage as you go. So I'm going to put the Balmy Blue up. I'm going to clean this brush out a little bit because I'm going to use it again in a minute. I'm going to pull my place off of my sun. And where I see a little bit of white there, I'm going to take my blending brush and just make sure that's not so stark white. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my small blending brush with Old Olive. I'll ink that up a little bit. And then right where we stopped at those trees, I'm just going to add some Old Olive. Right there at our tree line. So see how that adds some depth to that? So we're going to use that. I'll clean that brush out a little bit. We're done with it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this upside down. I'm going to bring in my Pool Party. That's the color I used for my water. And I'm going to ink that. And I'm just going to, I got to hold on to my scrap paper. Tell you what, I think I might have to ink my ink pads. I've used these with the blending brushes quite a bit, and it sure does soak up the ink. So I'm just going to leave maybe a 1/2 inch right here, because that's going to be my line where I'm going to put the dirt or sand or whatever you want to call it. Depends on if you're at a lake or if you're at the ocean, I guess. on what you're going to get. Okay, I'm going to do the same here that I did with the Balmy Blue, and I'm going to ink this up. And then I'm going to start off the side, and I'm just going to brush this, and you can see this better because it's lighter color. See how that's adding some depth in there? Just going to give it a swirl, kind of blends it all together. And there we have that. And see how I have ink all over my fingers? I do that every time I use a sponge. So, but never fear, I have some baby wipes right here. Just for this mess, because I knew I was going to do it. So let me clean that off a little bit so I don't get that all over everything else that I do. Anybody else have to use baby wipes and stuff while they're stamping? I do. Especially stuff like this, I really get it all over me. And then I get it all over my cards and makes a whole big mess. So let me put that away so we don't get in it, and that away. Now I'm going to get out my brush for my crumb cake. That's the next color of ink we're going to use. And I'm just going to kind of wipe that off, and I'm just going to kind of swirl that in there. And there we go. Doesn't take much. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do our reflection on our tree. But before we do that, I'm going to scoot this over for just 1 second. I'm going to bring my tree back in. I'm going to get out my white piece. What do I do with it? Well, I have it right here. It's right here. So I'm going to get out my white piece, and I'm going to stamp my trees for the inside before I go on with the rest of that. So I'm just going to ink up my trees. I'm going to add them to the bottom of here. And that's going to go on the inside of my card. So let's just go ahead and sit that right on the inside. We're going to bring this back. And what we're going to do, we're going to use a craft mat. So we're going to bring the craft mat here. Actually, I'm going to move that out of the way because I don't want a line to go across where I stamp this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up. And I'm going to make sure I get it really inked good. Okay. I will bring this back in for just 1 second. I'm going to stamp lightly off so that it's not so stark. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to stamp it here on my craft mat. So I'm just going to put it there. I'm going to stamp down. And I want a really good image, so I'm going to hold that and I'm going to press, okay? And I hope I got it because I almost moved it. I think so. I think we're good. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my card back over, and I have my stamped, if you can see that, I have the stamped image. Move my hand in there, you can see it. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to stand up to do this. This I'm going to line up in under my trees that I already have done. And I'm going to come down a little ways from them. I'm going to lay that down. I'm going to bring my piece of scrap. I'm going to lay over it because if you rub this, it doesn't move. You know, your fingers don't move as well on it. I'm going to put this down. I'm going to take my tool because I like using it than my fingers. Doesn't put this much wear and tear on my fingers. And I'm just going to rub this really good to make sure I get a good image. It should be on there good. Let me move that. Close this up before I get myself in it again. Okay, I'm going to lift it up. And there's my image. And then this you can just take and you can wash off in a sink. I can blot it right here. Probably get some more of it off. You can see there's not much on there left. I can probably take my baby wipe and just wipe it off since it's right here. Because there's probably more ink on here than what I think. If you can see that, gets quite a bit of ink off. And then you can just let it air dry because we're not going to be using it again. We're not going to be using this again. Let's throw it out. Get all of our messiness out of the way. I'm going to take the happy birthday stamp and I'm going to use the tuxedo black. And I'm going to stamp that right down here in the lower right hand corner. So let's just ink it. And I'm going to take and add that right here. And there's my happy birthday. So now let's put it together real quick. Pull out these pieces. I'm going to add this to my card with some adhesive. I like the Tombow in the green bottle. We all have our own preferences, so this is just one I like to use. I want that glob of glue right there. It's a long card. I want to make sure it sticks down. So I'm going to add that to my black mat. I'm going to turn that over. I'm just going to burnish that on there so that that glue holds that really well. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take black dimensionals. And I'm going to give this card a little bit of dimension to stand up. The only thing is it's a big card, and I want it to stand good, so I use like 8 of them on there, but that's okay. They're less than a penny a piece. If you do the math with them, they're less than a penny a piece. And I like for my cards to be good and sturdy, especially if they're going through the mail. I don't want it to be laying all messed up. So I'm going to add this on. It went down before I was ready for it to go down. So, had to move it over here. Let's add this on, and then we'll add our black are matte black dots. That's what they're called. I always want to call them black matte instead of matte black. Gets me a little confused. So let's rub that on the back. So that's in there. There's the front. Now we'll just add a couple of these and the card will be done. A very easy card. I'm gonna have to pull this whole thing out. I'm gonna use this last little dot here. Covered up my tool. I'm just gonna add one there. Then I'm gonna pick up a little dot over here and add down here. And there's my card. So I gave it some dimension with popping it up with the dimensionals off of the card a little bit. And then that's my inside. You have plenty of room to write on it since it's a long card. And like I said, it will fit in a business envelope, although I forgot to bring one in here with me. But it will. I mailed one of these cards off already today. And so that went well. So that is all of my video. Remember the stuff I showed you today. Don't forget the online exclusive stuff will be up online on March 1st. And there's going to be the way I understand, there's going to be more stuff than what we just showed you, the few items I showed you. And my class to go, if anybody would be interested in that, just let me know and I'd be more than happy to get it together for you. You can order it as just the kit only, or you can order it with the stamp set and all that. I give it to you both ways because I know many demonstrators sometimes buy kits, and I know also that you have your own demonstrator and you might want to order from them. And I don't want to say, hey, you have to order it from me if you order my kit. I'm not going to do that. I want you to be comfortable on whoever you order from. So that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to be back soon. Thank you. Bye.